Hello, I'd like to introduce you to a recipe that we're doing, and it's a warm roasted tomato and lentil salad. But first of all, you have to wash your hands, especially in the COVID time. And then you have to check your ingredients. So we're going to check our ingredients. First things first, aubergine, yes. Nice healthy aubergine. And now looking for the red wine vinegar. Yep. And if you search around in that bag, which is also from HelloFresh, a delivery, you can see vegetable stock and then honey. Yep. And all in packages, nice packages. And here's ready done lentils. Sun-dried tomatoes. And there should be some more ingredients coming up too. So we need, where's the feta cheese? You get the feta cheese. Still waiting for the feta. It's Greek feta cheese. That's the wrong side. So if you turn it around, it'll tell you it's Greek feta cheese. So turn it around. Show everyone. And then we'll all know. Yeah, Greek feta cheese. All fresh as well. Fantastic. And rocket lettuce. Okay. So have you got the tomatoes? Is there any tomatoes there? If not, we've got tomatoes anyway. We always have a stock of food like this. Yep, we've got tomatoes. So we have tomatoes off the vine, which I find rather tasty. And just a few of those. And then I think that we'll go into the preparation now that we've got all our ingredients. Of course, get ready olive oil as well. You'll need some of that. And also some of the pans. In this case, we need 2 baking trays. We need saucepan, frying pan, I mean. And we're using a saucepan as a bowl because it's bigger. So once you've got your ingredients ready, you can start by... Okay, so the first things first, you need your aubergine. And go to the chopping board. And top the aubergine. You can top and tail, but you don't really need to tail. Just top the aubergine, and then if you cut them in half and do the same with the other half, and then cut them again so they're like in quarters. And once you've done that with both of the aubergines, I'll tell you the next stage. So make sure when you're cutting that you're using a reasonably sharp knife, but don't cut yourself. And as I said, if you do it on a chopping board, it's much easier. So once you've cut them long ways, what you have to do is you're going to have to turn them sideways, because they have to be chopped into 2 centimetre cubes. And I don't know about you, but I love aubergines. There's all sorts of different recipes for aubergines. Sometimes they say leave them to soak to take out the moisture. That's if you're doing crispy aubergines. So once you've done that, that's great, and you can prepare that and you can put them into and put them carefully into a baking tray, and that will be demonstrated in a minute with care, because what you want is all the aubergines to cook evenly. You could at this point put the oven on, make sure there's nothing in the oven, but put the oven on to 200 if you're electric. I don't know what it is with gas, but that's electric. So pretty high, but not the highest. So get your baking tray and start putting on your aubergines. Aubergines is an eggplant because it's in the shape of an egg, I think. Very good. I think we're blessed with the taste of them. The other point is that when you open an oven and you put it on, be careful your face isn't over the top of the oven, because you could actually really hurt yourself. You don't want a singed face, and it is quite painful. With me, it steams up my glasses. So once you've put all the aubergines in, you need to get a bit of olive oil. Well, not yet, no, actually, because you need to start thinking about preparing the next piece of food, which is tomatoes. So again, on the chopping board, you can get your tomatoes on. We've used tomatoes on the vine. They're small tomatoes. So what you do with small tomatoes is that you'd just cut them in half. So once you've cut them in half, they will also go into the oven tray, the baking tray, with the aubergines. Be careful to not get your thumbs. Chop your thumbs up. So rather than throw them into the baking tray, make sure you evenly distribute them, and they get cooked better that way. So we've left spaces for the tomatoes, basically. We've placed them downwards, but you can place them upwards as well, if that was a question that you might want to think about. So that looks rather nice now. So drizzle with olive oil. It's a preference. You can use cooking oil, but olive oil, I don't know if it's psychological, but it tastes nicer. Not just in salad. And also, we're using a seasoning as well. A seasoning that we got from Amazon, but I'm sure you can get it into supermarkets as well. And it's, I think it's mixed herbs in it. I don't think it's mixed spices, it's mixed herbs, and it's called aromat. So put a bit of aromat in. It gives it out a different flavour, seasoning. And then put your aromat down, and then you can take your baking tray, pop that in the oven, Remember my tip as well, what you have to do when you open the oven. You have to stay well clear from the oven at first. You leave it in the oven for about 15 to 18 minutes until soft and charred. Okay, so make sure that you leave it in to get nice and soft and browned. Meanwhile, you get another baking tray and get that ready, because you're going to now have the ciabatta and you have to prepare it. And in the recipe it says just put into 2 centimetre squares. Well, we're going to slice it into 2 centimetre squares because it's a lot easier to organise that. So just cut longways like we did with the aubergines, and then cut across to make the squares. Don't forget, don't cut your thumbs off, and use the chopping board to cut. It's much easier. So once you've cut them, you have to look for your baking tray and then start putting this ciabatta bread into the baking tray. And if you place them evenly on the baking tray, again, it cooks better. So sometimes in the past I've just put things willy-nilly in. They still cook, but they don't cook in the same way. And these ciabattas you need to have a crispness to, so it's good to give them space in between each other. Then the next thing what you do is you have to drizzle them with olive oil again. And so you lightly drizzle them, you don't over soak it. And once you've done that, what you can do then is you can season it. So you bake it in the oven until golden brown for 8 to 10 minutes. Don't forget to use the aromat. Which is a mixture of mixed herbs. You could make up your own aromat, I suppose. And then also don't forget pepper. Give it a good seasoning of pepper. Bring out the flavour. And for those of you who are turmeric lovers, you might want to put turmeric in yours, because pepper and turmeric, when they're mixed together, are supposed to be very, very healthy. Just a warm roasted tomato and lentil salad. So pop that in the oven and leave it in for 8 to 10 minutes. And that's time for the shallot. We've got some growing in our garden. And they're very jolly nice, so you can grow your own. So with the shallot, you have to half, and then you peel it and thin slicely. Okay, and then you clear away all the skin that's left, because you want to chop it up quite finely. There we go. So top and tail. The top bit, and now we're going to slice the shallot in half, take away the outer skins, so you don't cut your fingers. Once you've done that, just peel away the outer skin of both halves. And then just place it down on the chopping board. So once you've started to chop up your shallots, make sure you sort of divide them up, because it gives, well, it's my opinion, it gives a better taste if you, some people say that the smaller you chop shallots and onions, the more flavour will come out. So that's quite a useful little tip. I don't know whether it's true or not. But make sure they're distributed in the pan as well. Then also you can chop up the garlic, clove of garlic. We like 2 cloves in our garlic. You might only want 1, it's up to you. Or you could use a garlic press and squeeze the garlic from there. But we tend to chop them up small. Once you've chopped up the garlic, put it in with the shallots. And then you can start by draining the lentils as well. So get yourself a sieve, and these particular lentils are already made, prepared from HelloFresh, but you can also buy them in the supermarket. Or the other way I've done it, and I still do, is to soak lentils overnight to make them softer, so you can cook with them. Otherwise, if you don't soak the lentils, they'll be like bullets. So this is a packet of lentils. Give them a good rinse. And then, so just put some oil in the frying pan and let that heat up. I'll tell you what though, you're going to now put the onions in, the shallots, and fry them till they're soft, and then the garlic, and there's nothing like the smell of fresh garlic. But once they've cooked a little bit, just put them onto a medium heat. Oh, it's so good, the smell of garlic. Lovely sizzling garlics. So right, once you've got those into the frying pan, you need to start thinking about what else you've got to do. So one of the things that you will have to do is you'll have to get your sun-dried tomatoes. So if you put your sun-dried tomatoes onto that's the garlic going in at the moment into the frying pan, but if you get your sun-dried tomatoes onto a chopping board, that would be rather helpful. Give it a good stir around so that the oil Just distributed with the garlic and the onions, and just leave it. Right, so you can start by chopping your sun-dried tomatoes. Just roughly chop them. Don't overdo your chopping. You don't need to. And once they're cut up, you can then pop them into the pan also without splashing. Also, make sure you use the chopping board to chop them up with. We use a serrated knife because I think it's less likely to cut you. Some people have special knives to cut things with. We find a serrated knife is better for vegetables too. Don't know if anyone else has got. I've got a knife that I've kept from my mum's collection from the 60s. There's some most sun-dried tomatoes are really good, but the idea is you don't want them to eat them hard. And the first sun-dried tomatoes I ever had were too hard, and it put me off of sun-dried tomatoes. And it's only since getting the Hello Fresh items that I've really enjoyed eating sun-dried tomatoes, and that's because in the recipe they get you to soften them, which is great. So that goes in with the onions and the shallots and the garlic, and make sure you mix it around. Give that a little bit of a cook. We've changed our wooden spoon to a round wooden spoon because it's easier to stir. And of course it's a non-stick pan as well, so it's not going to stick to it. Now what you have to do is you have to get the lentils that are in the sieve. Hopefully they've drained now. They're clean and drained. And you can put the lentils into the frying pan mix, because the lentils also need to be cooked and softened. Make a space in your frying pan. Right, once you've got all the lentils out, take your sieve away and start to mix the frying pan mixture. Now you can season to taste again with using the aromat, and then let it cook. Let all the lentils and the tomatoes and everything cook. And now it's going to be time to do the dressing. The smell on the lentils and the onions. Ooh, fabulous. So now it's time to prepare the dressing. So you have to get the red wine vinegar and honey, but a word of warning, don't add honey for vegans without checking, as some vegans don't have honey on no account. And what you have to do is you have to put this into a large mixing bowl along with a drizzle of oil, and that's going to be your dressing. So what's happening now is that there's a bit of vegetable stock going in. So that wasn't put in. And don't forget the lentil mix, it shouldn't be sticking to anything, so just put it on simmer onto the stove. Don't over stir the lentils because they need to be cooked too. But before you do that, you're going to get the lentil mix and you're going to put it in with the dressing. So just make sure that it's softened enough. Just make sure it's cooked enough. If it isn't, just give it a bit longer. Okay, so the lentils, right, the bowl that we've got there is too small really, so I think that what we have to do is we have to you have to make sure you've got a bigger bowl, because you've got to get the aubergines in there too. Just going to be a bit of a squeeze in that bowl. We might have to change our bowl. I think we can use one of the saucepans that we've got around. So you can use other things if you haven't got a bowl big enough. Okay, keep everything else out of the way and make sure you turn everything off because it's bigger. So that's all going to be poured into the saucepan. And out of the oven, if you can take out your aubergine mix. And the aubergine mix is going to be carefully put into the lentil mix. Make sure you use the right implements to take out the aubergines as well. You can do them individually, but if you get a spatula, which would be better for this, and you can get more out at once. Basically they'd be tasting really nice because they would have been roasted with the seasoning, so that would give it extra taste, producing high quality flavours. Sometimes the HelloFresh foods, they have ready things like Mexican mix, but you can look up different mixes from different recipes, and you could make your own, like we did with the aromat. So carefully put those into the pan or the bowl, big mixing bowl. They're pretty hot, so make sure you've got a cloth to hold the baking tray with. And eventually we're going to be including the feta cheese. Yeah, much easier with a spatula. Right, make sure that all the different bowls and baking trays are taken away from your working surface to give you more room. Now go back to your wooden spoon and give the whole mixture a very good stir, and then leave it for 1 or 2 minutes to combine their flavours. And the smell coming from the kitchen is gorgeous. Delicious. Also, all those ingredients give you your part of your 5 a day. This is your 5 a day vegan dish, or veggie in our case. Okay, now it's time to take the ciabattas out of the oven. Smell lovely. Now make sure you've got your plates to put them on, or dishes that you're going to put in your mix. And then at this stage you can put your lettuce in if you want to, or you can wait, but it'd be better if you put your lettuce in now, your greenery, so that you can put the croutons on top, which is traditional. Now you can get croutons from a shop, but they're much smaller. I love these croutons because they're made out of ciabatta bread and they're bigger. You have a good old crunch. So you can get them from a supermarket and they're very tasty, but they're not the same as ciabatta bread. So make sure you've cleared everything away, so that the dish that you're going to be that you've been preparing has got plates, clear surface. It's much easier to work on a clear surface. Very nice. Get it all out. Don't waste any. Food's too precious to waste. Lovely. Can't wait to eat it. Nearly ready. And then start putting the croutons onto the dish. But there is a very crucial thing after the greens have been put on, and also the croutons. What do we say our dish was called? It was a warm roasted tomato and lentil salads. Now you can put this on if you're not vegan, or you could substitute it for a vegan food. We're going to chop up feta cheese, Greek feta cheese, but you could use a substitution of vegan. That is entirely up to you. Make sure you put all the croutons on, well, as many as you want, of course. Again, you can substitute the bread if you're got an allergy to anything. If you're celiac, just check the ingredients. But we're using feta cheese for our dish, and it says crumble, but we're going to slice it up. Now be careful when you open the packet of feta cheese, because it normally has liquid in, so be careful the liquid doesn't go all over your surfaces. And just slice it up, and that can be placed into the bowls. And also fresh feta cheese is much nicer, so if you can get fresh feta cheese, that's lovely. You can get feta cheese from a supermarket, but as I said, we've been getting our supply from Hello Fresh online, which is a very good company, and it divides up all the ingredients, so most of the ingredients that you want for one dish is in one bag, unless it needs to be frozen. And all I can say is that what you should do is enjoy this delicious food of lentil and tomato salad, and feel the goodness seeping through you as you eat it, with all your hard work that you have done. And it looks wonderful, I must say. Very colourful, with the croutons and the feta and the lentils in the background with the greenery and tomatoes. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. We've enjoyed making it. For now, stay safe and eat well.